Greetings and salutations, fishers and fishmongers. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the boy.
Hey.
This is the Two Nerds podcast, and today we're coming at you with races.
D&D races.
5th edition D&D races.
Yes, indeed we do. See, we did a bunch of podcasts, and you can go back and listen to those on all the Player's Handbook races, and a bunch of races we had done various things with, or liked the idea of, or had something useful to say about. Here's the problem. There's a fuckload more races, and we are out of super in-depth shit to say about the rest of them.
I mean, look, I love the year of D&D that was 2019, and the amount of D&D podcasts we've been able to come up with in 2020 has been great, and I love doing D&D podcasts, but we were scraping the bottom of the barrel when it came to making a podcast about 1, 2, even 3 races.
So what we decided to do instead was just take advantage of the success of the Animal Crossing podcast and just run down the list. We're going to go through the races we haven't gone through before, give you some quick insights, quick little thoughts about them, and move the fuck on.
I'm going to do some prep work here that you would argue I perhaps should have done before we started the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
There we go, D&D races. Just to give us an idea, we're not planning on answering all of the questions each time.
No.
But just to keep us in mind of what kind of shit we talk about.
So, we're going to start from the top. Unlike the Animal Crossing video, we're going to start from the A's and just sort of work our way down. We are not planning, we have not pre-planned how many we're going to get through, and there's going to be as many of these as there end up being. Let's get started.
Aarakocra.
Bird person.
And let's loop Avon into that, because there's a big philosophy you and I have kind of gone through, and we talked about it briefly when it came to orcs, but why we don't necessarily need to separate out these races. Like,
I don't need 6 kinds of bird person. If you want to play a bird person, use whatever stat block you want that has bird person written on it, and you're good.
Yeah, especially when doing homebrew stuff. Now, if it's important to the player, where they're like, no, I'm an ibis-headed Avon, fine.
You got an ibis head, homie.
Well, and we'll work with you being an Avon, whatever. That's fine.
What I will probably do is just label the bird people in whatever campaign setting we're in Avon.
Yeah.
And then fold the Aarakocra into them instead. It really doesn't matter.
When you get to this kind of granularity, it's sort of like, meh.
I guess unless I was going to specifically do 2 separate kinds of bird people who, were warring.
Well, and at the same time, I don't know that... I would call them all Avon collectively, and I think they might go, through a regional or color morph or shape name, or sub-name or something, like the Regan.
Like a red-breasted Avon.
Or the Jays, or the, so on and so forth. It's
black-crested Avon. See, now I kind of want to make a race of bird people where you actually name them like birds.
Sure.
Subspecies of a bird.
Well, and I think that Avon would be better served.
It's a better name.
And I think it would be better served at, Aarakocra's got history to it, but it's got cock in the middle.
It's got cock spelled all funny. It's got so many A's, unnecessary amounts of A's. It's not good. Not a good name for just Avon. Avon. Oh, you know what? I have a race of bird people. I should call them, like an aviary. Avon. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, it's like birds. Fucking Aarakocra. Fuck you.
Well, and I mean, if you're going to come up with an original name, I get where they're coming from. Birds make whack kind of noises. So, Aarakocra. That's fine. I get it, but it's got cock in it. And then the next race is the Aasimar. What are you doing? Get out of here. We covered Aasimar. I'm not going to be getting into that. But yeah, Aarakocra, I think you would be best served to have okay, this is the base. Avon are the race. And then you have sub-races that are, these guys are like parrots. They got a stronger bite attack. These guys are like ravens. They're
and you
fuck
can
huge.
use the Aarakocra, stats or the Avon stats or whatever you want. It's I think there might be another kind of bird person later on this list, and that's going to be the same input.
Yeah. Most recently, I've used them as some J people who were like colonial Americans.
Most recently, I used them as just a stand-in for the kids from Supernatural. It's a long story.
And we're not going to tell it. Aetherborn, they're a Magic the Gathering race. We know less about these in general. And
Yeah, I only played Magic in like late high school and my early 20s, and I was never that into it. I've never read the novels or anything.
I think Aetherborn are kind of interesting as somebody who's read about them before.
Are they the ones with the very short lifespan unless they do a thing?
I don't think they have. They have a short lifespan, but I don't think they can do like the. Oh no, there it is. Yeah, with the drain life ability. Yes, that is exactly what they are.
Yeah, they're like
psychic vampires.
They're like psychic vampires. They're creatures born of magic who have to suck the life force out of people to continue living. They're White Court vampires from the Dresden Files. I just realized that's what I would use them for.
I think they're really cool. If a player came to me with an Aetherborn, I'd be like, yeah, let's run with this. This sounds like a really fun, class of people. I love making run-off Magitech races, and that's what they are. So yeah, I'd roll with that just fine.
Yeah. I'm like reading through and I'm reading through their abilities here. I just realized that's exactly what I would do. Is I would just make them White Court vampires.
That's cool. I like that idea. Next are Centaur.
I've never used Centaur much, but they're a very classically fantasy race.
Well, they're usually relegated to NPCs because, much like wings, having more than 2 legs is so difficult to do anything with.
Are you just how long are we gonna spend dunking on DMs who can't handle travel time changes?
Motherfucker, I will play this buzzer beater every time.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I mean, honestly, fitting a horse into a dungeon is classically an issue. Why am I playing a cavalier if we're going to go dungeon delving? Unless I'm a hobbit on a dog, my horse is not going to fit. Well, if your horse is the rest of you, clippity-clop, enjoy minding the shop.
And that's usually what they end up doing, so that's fair, I guess.
But as a DM going, well, I guess these tunnels are a little bigger and we'll live with it. Or as a player, trying to find ways around that, or being like, I have a bow or magic spells because I got to kind of lean into the room sometimes and just shoot shit.
Maybe giving them an item of reduced person.
Sure.
So that they can be small size and thus can be centaur and fit in places.
And they're technically medium-sized.
Yeah,
so
that's cute. So they're just Shetland pony people?
Maybe. You can ride a Shetland
those
pony.
Are medium-sized. Horses are large-sized creatures.
Yeah.
That's a Shetland pony person.
Yeah, that's fine.
That makes them way more hilarious.
But they have powerful hooves. I think Centaur are cool. I'd love to use them in a campaign. I've just never really had occasion to. Maybe not the next one, but the one after that.
Yeah, their horse bodies are about 4 feet tall at the withers. So, yeah, that's a pony. They're pony people. That's a good way of making it so that you can fit the horse in the dungeon. They just build the pony. Hey, he gets to go into Moria now because he has a fucking sword and he's mad about shit.
Genasi we never covered. That's fun.
Yeah, which is weird because we've actually used them a fair amount.
We have had everyone but a fire Genasi in our games.
Because fire is the lamest element. Both in Avatar and in DnD. Fight me.
It's a shame too that I wish they had the other 4 kinds of Genasi, like the mud and mist, kind of like the Quasits, Mephits. Genasi are fine. I wish I'd come up with better lore for them. I want to tie them into my world better next time if I have the occasion.
I couldn't so much with my previous setting because it was very based on the material plane. So the Genasi who ended up was an Earth Genasi. I just ended up using, I think, the Pathfinder lore pretty straight, and just stealing it for the Earth Kingdom, as it were, in the plane of Earth. And we actually ended up going to the plane of Earth a few times in that campaign, so it fit in a little better.
Yeah.
But if I was gonna use more of the extra planes, I would like to have an opportunity to build in Genasi as a part of folding in those extra planes into more of the actual campaign.
Yeah, I think they're neat. They're genie people, for those of you who aren't aware.
Yeah, they're like descendants from genies.
So I think there's a lot of fun stuff you could do with that in a lot of different directions, and I feel like you did a much better job than I did. I barely even tied them into the world.
I stole. It is nice.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't really have much that I'm cloven to that I would have stolen from for that. I don't have elemental people. I'm not fond of those tropes, and I don't gather enough that I just happen to have some in my satchel.
Whereas I'm not super fond of the Pathfinder lore necessarily. That's not really my bag. Notably, I've only really ever played Pathfinder Kingmaker, and that's in the last few days in terms of actually getting my hands on the system. But a thing I really liked for a few years was heavily based off Pathfinder lore, so that gave me a lot to steal from.
We move now into the Gith. I am historically not a fan of the Gith, but I'd like to be.
I've actually never figured out why either. What's the problem with them?
Well, I think it's twofold. Well, threefold. One, all of the art for them in 3rd edition made them look weird. And I don't mean like... I mean like the halflings in 5th edition look weird.
No, they look fucking malformed.
Yeah, like, and not in an interesting way, just in like a Star Trek alien.
I would really not like to hang out with more of these kind of way.
Yeah, like in a Star Trek alien kind of way, where it's like...
Not even a Star Wars alien.
No, and not even a good Star Trek alien.
Like a Kardashian.
Sure. But, so, like, there was that visual thing of when I'm... Yeah. I was just going to let it go.
I wasn't. I can't. It's just...
So looking through the book and looking through the races and going, oh, that's interesting. Or even the monster manual. Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah, an Umber Hulk. Yeah, a really yellow kind of lumpy guy.
Yeah. For such cool stats, Umber Hulks look boring.
No, I love Umber Hulks. I'm talking about...
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I meant, yeah, just the word Umber Hulk is so cool. It just sort of slotted in. I use the Gith, I almost always use them as a stand-in for something else. They've got a great stat set, and they've got a great set of abilities that I can use for a bunch of different stuff. I very rarely use their base lore, because I very rarely use the base lore for mind flayers, and they're sort of very tied in.
I mean, you could leave them as any, race that got enslaved by psychics or magic users or whatever. Like, they slot in just fine there if you don't specifically have mind flayers. But, like, that's the thing, too, about what makes me go, ugh, with the Gith, is that there's the explanation of them that's nice and fast.
They used to be slaves. They're not anymore. Then they disagreed on how much of an asshole to be.
And then anything beyond that is cracking open a Tolkien tome.
Yeah, it gets fucking... The waters get deep real fast. There's a shelf, like the Hydra in Dark Souls 1. You gotta stay on the other side of the shelf, otherwise you just fall forever.
And it just does my head in, so I've never really been interested. And then thing 3 is they're often tied to psionics or monks. And I have never played a monk for more than like a session. And I don't really give a shit about psionics.
I've never given a single... I managed to work it in pretty naturally into my most recent big campaign, despite literally never having given a shit about psionics in my life.
I will say that I forget which one of them it's supposed to be. I want to say the Zerai, because they're the nice ones.
The Githzerai are the less dickish ones.
So those are the ones that I am now standing in my brain for Namekians.
Yeah, those are the Nameks. Those are the Piccolos of the world.
That's more visually interesting to me, and I ain't
honestly,
give a shit about Dragon Ball.
If I was gonna make just the Gith Yankee and Githzerai, if I was gonna use that, yeah, they look like Namekians. Yeah. Fine, that's a way better visual.
Yeah, their visuals are just so garbage. They're just not.
They're weird.
Interesting.
They look weird and gross and tumor.
They just look homeless.
Which is actually one of the reasons I use them as a stand-in for the Cantoi, because I didn't want to make the Cantoi a waste of weird rat people. I like rat people. So I made them the Gith instead.
There you have it. We get to skip all over the gnomes and the goblins.
Yeah, we done covered them.
Mm-hmm. There's so many sub-races. So, we get to the Grung.
The Grung.
Which is a weird... There's so many frog people in Dungeons and Dragons. It feels like this one was like either brought back or is brand new. Why didn't we go with any of the other ones? How many races of frog people do we need?
How many races of frog people do we need? Much like how many races of bird people do we need?
Pretty much.
The answer is 1. Use whatever stat block you want.
Well, and these are the only ones, as far as I'm aware, that are playable. Maybe the Gripply were at one point, but they're gone now, so who knows?
Who gives a shit?
I think their stat block is awesome, and I think frogs are cool.
Their stat block is really good. It's really good.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
It was released in its own book, which is strange. I decided to make them Cajun because Frog Legs joke and because I put them in an area of the map that was Cajun in the thing I'm stealing that map from in my most recent game.
I'm not presently using them, but I'd be happy to.
I suggest making them Cajun, as it's a great joke.
I'm good. It depends on where they're from. I have some Toad people that I borrowed heavily from this stat block for, but
they're their own thing.
They are their own thing. They're Maori.
They're only Maori so that you could do Taika Waititi's accent for them.
No, that was a delightful happenstance. That was the icing on the cake. I wanted a tribal people with modern sensibilities.
Oh, yeah, it's fair.
So that was more interesting.
Them are the Samoans.
Yeah, I've done a lot of Polynesian stuff, and I love it, but, like, I don't know.
You want something different. Want something new.
Yeah, something a little different. In this household, we stand Samoans, so...
Goddamn right.
It's just a break from the norm for us. This is breezy. We might get all these guys done in one podcast. Kalishtar.
What the fuck is... No, genuinely, what the fuck is a Kalishtar?
They're full of ghosts. They're from Eberron.
That's not helpful to me.
They don't dream... because they don't connect to the plane of dreams, and they have a mind link with some kind of spirit or something.
So they're Dragon Age dwarves who are full of ghosts?
Pretty much, except they're humanoids, and they might be purple. I don't know.
Could you Google one? I need to know what these fucking things look. They have
they're just
images.
people. Yeah,
they're just
they look a little different.
They're just regular dudes filled with ghosts.
So for that matter, if the Gith looked like this, just slightly different people, fine. Weird yellow lumpy guys with mottled skin, I don't care for it.
But yeah, no, it's just regular looking. That's just regular looking dudes full of ghosts. So it's just a variant human.
Basically, and there are so many variant humans in that you can look up through 5e and in the various supplements, the plane shifts and so on. You can get some really interesting human stat blocks out of that if you don't want to do base human.
Yeah, if you want to be a person, but you don't want to have the base set, throw Kalishtar in the mix. You could be just a regular guy, happens to be filled with ghosts.
Yeah.
Happens to be the main character of that show, The Ghost Whisperer.
Sure.
Or crossing over with Jonathan Edwards or whatever his name was. I forget.
Who cares? The man was just lying to you.
Yes, that's the joke I'm making. Mort Lindquist. Again, Dresden Files joke. There you go.
Kenku, another set of bird people. I'm mentioning them specifically because I
knew there was another set of bird people down this list.
I like their lore from the perspective of someone writing something. I hate their lore from the perspective of someone playing Dungeons and Dragons.
They'd make a great NPC race. But that mimicry trait is just a terrible thing to saddle a player with.
Or a party, if they're not down with the goofy-ass player, It sounds so interesting, but you're going to have to you're going to have to catch lightning in a bottle to make it work with your group, unless you've got a group who's just in it is just in it to fuck around.
Yeah, because these are the ones who can't come up with shit on their own.
No,
right?
They have no original thoughts. Everything they do and say is copied from someone else. Which
is so lame. It's great for an NPC race. I would never use it, though, because I like to leave all of the races in my game open to be playable where I can.
Well, and, it's one of those things that they changed from between 3rd edition and now that, you know me, man. I'm not the 3rd edition defender. Fuck that shit. Throw it in the bin. But
this is D&D Good Edition. Look, it's not perfect, but it is better than 3e.
I don't like this change to Kenku. Honestly, like the
easy
ninjas.
To fix, too. You could even keep the bones of it. Instead of having them be literally unthinking automatons who only copy stuff, just turn them into Bumblebee from the Transformers movies. They have original thoughts, but they can't come up with shit to say on their own, so you have to think of something that you can mimic, and thus you can do bits with it.
That's what a lot of people do, and that's not too bad. Honestly, you could just take that part out. Remove their ability.
They're a little boring without it.
Yeah, but so are a lot of other races.
That's fair.
You're a bird.
Keep the mimicry trait. It's good because it's not in their mechanic. It's not really that powerful.
No.
So I'd say keep the mimicry trait, throw it away, or make it so that they're Bumblebee, so that they have their own thoughts and emotions, but And they gotta do an impression of a guy they saw at a play once and have them just quote Shakespeare or whatever you want to do, anime lyrics.
It's just something that I don't want to have to get over to play at Kenku. And I know homebrew, but like at the same time, if I'm homebrewing, why am I not doing something more bespoke?
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point.
So let's move into Kenra, which is another plane shift race. These are the Jackal people?
That'd be cool.
Yes, which they're really cool to think about visually, but their shit is so specific and really only good if someone else is playing your twin.
Oh, what? Hold on, I'm reading.
Well, we'll read it to the class. All they get is proficiency with the Khopesh, spear, and javelin, their own language, in addition to the regular one, and Kenra twins. If your twin is alive and you can see them, whenever you roll a 1 on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can re-roll the die and must use the new roll. If your twin is dead, or if you were born without a twin, you can't be frightened.
So, either immunity to fear effects, which is, at best, niche, or a really good ability, but only works if someone else is down. Because that's really good. That's not a per day. That's just whenever.
Yeah, it's like the halfling trait.
You just get another... Yeah, it's just a worse version.
It's about the same thing. Yeah, it's lucky.
Yeah, it's lucky, but only...
But you have to see a twin.
Yeah. It's slightly worse lucky. But you get to be Nessus, which is cool.
Yeah. Again, like, this is a magic race, so obviously
they've got good stat bonuses, +2 strength, +2 dex, +1 strength. That's a good set.
You get a +5 bonus to speed. That's not bad either. Yeah, I don't hate it.
It's just, you're right, it's very specific, like goat folk in 3rd edition.
Sure, yes, exactly.
Where they were only really useful if you had 2, and if you had a whole party, they got really useful.
I don't think we've ever talked about kobolds.
Not, at the very least, not recently. Not in this race roundup.
So... Oh, God. First of all, their stat block is kind of garbage. They have a -2 strength. For whatever reason, when Volos dropped, they committed to this.
Honestly, all of the Volos guide races are in some way kind of garbage.
The first few lead strong. Lizard Folk, Fearbolg, Tabaxi are fine.
But then you get into the Volos, Orc, and Kobold, and Kenku.
Yeah, I think there's one other. Their Goblin. That version of the Goblin is kind of crap, too. They have other penalties as well.
Look, I understand why you would do it, but it's just not 5th edition. I would give them a +2 charisma instead of a minus, or a +1 charisma instead of a -2 strength. And it's just not, it's not 5th edition standard game style.
Now, their stat blocks are really good, and if you're playing a kobold, you don't really need the strength. Probably.
You're probably not going to be strong, but why do... It's just not usual, and thus stands out as being extra crap. Instead of getting a +1 to another stat, you get a -2. And you're small anyway.
Well, and I don't also like the fact... I mean, you can refluff this, obviously, but a lot of their shit... Well, their one big move, grovel, cower, and beg, kind of pigeonholes you.
How to put this? This is a fine stat block for what D&D has decided the word kobold means. I don't care about that. I've never used it as a DM.
Yeah, so, first of all, I prefer the old dog kobolds.
If you're going to do something that's already there, dog kobolds, but I've been doing them as Jerboa people for so long that's just what I think of the word kobold as now.
It was something I came up with, God, over a decade ago.
And if I was going to use kobold as a race in something I was making 5th edition, I would just make them a stat block and make them Jerboa people.
Yeah.
I'd start with the frog base.
I mean, fuck, you could start with the halfling base.
Or the halfling base.
Give them a good jumpo.
This is a fine stat block if you want to play that kind of kobold. I can't imagine why you'd want to.
Core are another magic race. You've actually DM'd for one of these.
I have DM'd for one of these, and I managed... I worked them in as... Because I was already using changelings in the setting as like a very central race. Not central to the world. They're actually kind of off doing their own thing. But they're central to the lore. And I worked Core in as the race that became changelings when they were exposed to a bunch of chaos magic. Because if you look at them, they look like fucking changelings.
Yeah, like a prototype design.
Yeah, so that's kind of... And I'm going to keep that, honestly. I'm going to keep core as the base race, and then the ones that have been exposed to a lot of chaos magic become changelings. Otherwise, they're a fine race. They get climbing stuff, and they're halflings, but big.
Yeah, they get lucky and brave. I think they're neat. Yeah, I'm fine with having them around.
They're big, tall halflings who can climb. And they look like changelings. They look cool. They got a cool stat set. Cool, good stat modifiers. Just a good, solid, all-around race.
Yeah, just a nice option.
Yeah.
One of the things I was most excited about from the latest supplement, the Myths of... I forget. I gotta look over here at the thing. It says MOT. I don't know what the fuck MOT stands
Click
for.
it. Oh, it doesn't work? Works for the others. Okay. Sorry, the perfectly legitimate thing we're using to review these.
Mythic Odysseys of Theros. Maybe right click? No, it doesn't do shit
who
either.
cares?
Who cares? Hover over? Yep, hover over. Yeah, one of the things I was most excited about in that book were the new races. We covered the Centaur, which were published elsewhere before, but they were kind of reestablished.
I've never actually looked at these.
No, this is brand new shit. Leonin, man, that's so cool.
Lion people, this is cool.
Hell, yes. Look at these two pictures. This badass lion. This
is cool. For me, this falls firmly under the why do you need two cat people. I would use this as two different sub-races of Tabaxi.
I agree, and I might have a more generalized catfolk name, like catfolk.
The word is Khajiit.
I don't know that I'd use the Leonin like Khajiit, though. I think
I'd use them as, like, mains.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go that far. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Khajiit, but I feel like there's a lot of room to be explored within...
Oh, no. It's mostly the accent and general culture I keep, rather than anything specific from the race in, like, the Elder Scrolls lore. For instance, Bright Sun. You remember him. He was a Tabaxi character, but he was a big, burly barbarian. If I were doing him again, as like an NPC, I would make him a Leonin.
I could see it. I think I'd use them differently, personally, is all I'm saying. I don't disagree with that. I just don't...
You would rather have them be their own thing?
Cats is cats.
Cats is cats.
Because they're all going to try to fit in a box, but they're still very different. And I think a lot of different cultures can be evoked from looking at them instead of...
And you would rather take the opportunity to use the Leonin as a window for a different culture.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can do the same thing with the birds, but, like, birds is birds in general. Unless you get into, like, a stork or something, they're pretty much the same thing. They might have a different beak versus claws, basically. But that's just me.
Pelicans can take their spines out.
Well, they just kind of... It's kind of like... I don't know how to describe this in a podcast-friendly way.
Nope, and you shouldn't. Google it.
Yeah, I guess. But I like this. I think this is cool as hell. I'm excited to be able to have these options next time I play or run a D&D campaign. So
yeah, they get good shit. Claws and a roar and that's cool.
Some skill proficiencies and yeah, it's nice.
That's good shit, my dude.
Yeah, and speed boost, 35 feet. Easy to overlook. Lizard folk are hands down one of my favorite races. Period. I think they're really interesting. You get a swim speed. You get a cool bite, which is a nice unarmed attack. And there's a special thing where once per, I want to say short or long rest, you can get some temp HP by biting a guy.
Yep.
You can have innate building abilities for like bone and wood that you can craft during a short rest, I believe. Mm-hmm. You've got a longer time to hold your breath. You get skill proficiencies, and you've got awesome natural armor. This is a...
You have, like, top-tier natural armor.
Yeah, this is a solid fucking race, and it really embodies the wild lizard man. You know, the rough around the edges. I come from the swamps or jungle or where the hell ever. Like, this is really good. It has character.
This is well made. It has character, and it is... There's just no loose pieces on this race.
Yeah.
This is thematically and mechanically watertight, and it's just, I end up using them a lot. You end up seeing, like, you end up playing, I think I've played one lizard folk and two, that's right, two. And I'm sure would like to play more.
Sure.
But I would use these a lot as a DM, just because they embody a thing really well.
Yeah. Yeah, the concept that a lizard folk is, this is an excellent execution. We now go to Lokatha, excuse me.
Lacrinon.
No.
Lacrinon.
No, not at all.
Yep.
I think these are going to be our last race for this podcast.
That's how math works.
They are fish people.
Okay, sure.
So.
Oh wow, that is sad.
No, right? So the 5e interpretation of the Lokatha are like dumpy, glurpy, glopey sort of fish people.
They look like a catfish stood up on two legs and walked on.
Not even a very good catfish, though.
No, like the opposite of it is the virgin Lokatha that Chad Tom Kench.
So here they are in Pathfinder.
I don't like that any better.
Really, I think they look awesome.
They look.
There they are in 3rd edition.
That one at least has a little metal to it, but like the one you showed me for Pathfinder is weirdly twee. That guy looks Bara. I like him.
Well, I mean, you could probably make them different sizes, but they got spines and spikes, and they're orange, and they've got cool fin hands. And
yeah, that looks
even
cool.
This guy who just looks like a fish.
Yeah, like a koi or
but
something.
Like not a sad, dumpy ass bog creature
with his pet seal.
I struggle with them as well.
They have dad bod. They as a race are like a dump. Like, how you doing, champ? You winning, son? God, no. Why would you make that choice as for how you want your cool D&D race to look?
The problem I have with them, and something we didn't touch on with Grung, because in your campaign where one is being played, you gave them an item to get over this. Grung need to be moist every now and then, so that they don't dry out, because frogs.
Yeah.
That's something that with them can be accomplished with like a cantrip. Or a 1st level spell, or
a little basically cosmetic magic item.
Well,
the magic item of please don't make this a thing that I have to deal with as a DM.
And let me I'll just go ahead and read it here to show you the difference. For the Grung, if you fail to immerse yourself in water for at least 1 hour during a day, you suffer 1 level exhaustion at the end of that day. You can only recover from this exhaustion through magic or by immersing yourself in water for at least 1 hour. So, it's not too hard. You can summon some water, get enough to dip in for a whole hour. If you're not out there adventuring, finding rivers and lakes and so forth, you can have this amount of water on yourself and immerse yourself in it for an hour pretty easily. And
it can be more of, because if it means you have to be in a tub, carrying a tub's worth of water around is a big pain in the ass. But it's fixable with magic, and in D&D, this is one of those things magic would definitely exist to fix. The player I have who is a Grung, they're a big fan of the show Friends, so I just gave them the Moist Maker. I think it's an amulet that just takes care of this. Please don't bother me.
Well, and the other thing is, combined the rest of the Grung abilities and stuff
don't add up to enough that you need something like this.
No, you could just, as a DM, get rid of it.
Yeah, you could just excise it. I really don't care.
Whereas the Lokatha, so their drawback is
one level of exhaustion isn't actually that bad.
No, but it's reasonable unless you're in a desert and the DM is specifically challenging the fishman or the frogman. That you can get over it.
You know what? I'll put it like this. The Grung's version of this is like Aqualad from Young Justice. If it gets real dry, he has a problem.
Right. Whereas if it's been 4 hours and you haven't been a fish, you're going to die.
That's dumb.
That's so stupid.
I would absolutely excise this, and none of their shit is nearly powerful enough to make it not.
Well, the Lokatha is, because you have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, stunned, or put to sleep.
So, it's a little better than elf shit.
It's a lot. I think it's just...
Stunned, I think, is the big one.
Charmed is all that elves are.
Were they not also frightened?
No.
So, I guess, that is pretty powerful.
They have a natural armor, and it's the good one.
Oh, yep. No, it's not quite as good as Lizard Folk. Lizard Folk is top tier, but 12 plus Dex is still pretty good.
And you get 2 skill proficiencies, that's fine, and you get the amphibiousness, that's fine as well. But, like, good God, Leviathan will. But if you take that out, what you're left with isn't...
much.
Yeah, so it's so hard to balance it.
I would shave off Paralyzed and Poison, or Paralyzed and Stunned from Leviathan Will, and just take off their you gotta be wet boy thing. That balances it. As for my lights as a DM, to fix that, I would just shave off Paralyzed and Stunned, and then take off the wet thing, or give them the Grungs version.
Yeah, it's just so dense. And, like, again, I can homebrew... And I would, because look at this dumpy shit. But
just put some burgers on the grill.
I'm going to eat them all. Well, I suppose you could play a Lokatha Artificer, and you could show your other party members all the cool stuff you come up with your magic, and help them through their teenage drama. And then it would give you the opportunity, if the issue came up of replacing one or getting a copy for themselves, for you to say, very expensive, Douglas.
Oh, I think we're good for this. I think this has been a very productive roundup. Just a quick little look through on some of the lesser used 5e races, at least by us.
Yeah, we'll probably get to the rest of them
at some point.
Some point soon. We might be updating by book after that.
In any case, everything's better when nerds talk about it.